Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the podcaster that really does say, I think the song Sacrifice and 1,000 Miles, they say the same thing to me in two different ways. And so, I say, which one? But I enjoy both. I prefer neither, right? And, I prefer both. Like, I don't prefer one over the other. And if you're you say, wait a second, I thought this was a bedtime story sleep telling, but you're trying to compare The Weekend and Kid Leroy. And I say, is it Kid, like, I think I dropped the E in Kid Leroy. I just did it again, or maybe it's a silent something. But I'm here really to I'm not here to silence anything. I'm just here to take your mind off of stuff and keep you company so you could fall asleep. And if you're in a position where you say, no, I prefer the metaphor in 1,000 Miles to the metaphor in Sacrifice, or you have another song, you say, well, Joni Mitchell did it first. I'd say, okay, point me in the right direction. But I'm here to point you in another direction, away from your thoughts, your feelings, or whatever's keeping you awake, because it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. And these sponsors enable us to be here for you for free twice a week. So when your hand hits the fridge or the coffee pot tomorrow, please take the time to check out sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors. Thank you. All right, everybody. Welcome to the final episode of our series, even though there'll be a recap episode. It'll be our final episodically modular episode of our series, Spice Friends. It's episodically modular with some seriality. I don't know if I said it in the wrong order there, but it means that you can listen to it in any order. Even if this is your first episode, don't worry. I'm going to catch you up on everything you need to know, and then you can go back and listen to the rest, fall asleep to them, listen to them when you need a break. Whatever works for you, you'll find it. All will be well. But so this is a series you could listen to in any order. I think we covered that. It's about Spice Friends. It happens in a world just like ours. A version of our world that is very similar to ours. You've seen it in popular media, movies, anime, other stuff you read or look at or listen to, where around the time we discovered using things with a half-life for energy and then purposes other than energy, expansion, we'll say, or influence, that these giant beings, some cold-blooded, some warm-blooded, appeared and started wandering the earth, right? And biting neon signs, stepping on cars. If they had tails, usually their tails would run into a dam or two. Possibly, sometimes they'd be sleeping inside mountains. Some would have high-powered wings. Then, the people would say, well, how do we cope? How do we deal with these giant beings? And sometimes they would deal with one another, whole 9 yards. Some were heroic, some weren't. But usually the chaos followed. I don't know if it was Ian Malcolm's brand of chaos, but, it could, when you got a giant being, even if they have the best intentions, they don't have eyes on their toenails that I know of to see everything they're going to step on, So even an amoeba or paramecium might be like, what's going on up there? I'm trying to subdivide, and there's a lot of ruckus up there. So speaking from, single, organisms I learned about and then forgot everything I learned, I don't know if it's mitosis or meiosis. I say meiosis if I was doing an intro, but I'm doing an episode now. So they were wandering the world, right? And of course, we tried to do different things, just like in the movies. They say, okay, let's get lasers, electric lasers, Tesla coils, other stuff, conventional stuff. Nothing worked. And they would go and they would come. And eventually we realized, it's tied to this stuff with a half-life, but particularly when we use it in a strong manner. And so eventually they put all this stuff on an island to try to attract the big ones there. Then they still came back, particularly this really big one called the Grand Iller, the most famous big one of all. And eventually the president at the time and his daughter, who was vice president, the Smiths, President Smith and Vice President Smith, President Smith had dealt with the big one by turning into a big one. And everybody thought, wow, what a tough, heroic choice. But it turned out it was only to get the Grand Iller and all the big ones back on this atoll because there had been some sort of secret pact made with another world, Planet Zipper. And Planet Zipper is a world of collective beings or a collective being, but it does butt off from time to time. And it's not like it's a collective being, doesn't mean it's in harmony at all moments. But they had experienced the big ones because they were like the last collective being planet left of their kind. All the other ones had been done in by the big ones, been big farmed. And so they wanted to help. They said, if you get the big ones all in one place, we'll put the whole Earth in hibernation and you send some astronauts to our planet and then we'll work on a longer term solution while everybody's in hibernation. And our story ended not that long after the hibernation ended. Now, because the big ones are so much bigger, their metabolism was different. They're going to be the last ones to wake up. And by this time, the organization of world leadership had changed. And so we were all living under something called the CN, Collective Nations, I think. And Vice President Smith, and now she had become president of the world, of the collective nations. While but there's still, just like in all Sleep With Me stories, there's other, forms of leadership other than the main, the one that we're talking about. And she was waiting for the astronauts to return. Only one astronaut returned. And she was expecting, some sort of device, some sort of tangible measure to take against the big ones when they woke up. And what the astronaut said is that, well, here's what I got. The joyous, if we teach children, they had already sent the plans, which they'd kind of followed through which is establishing a network of children's toys and programming that was empowering. But they also said I don't know if they thought, they just thought, okay, we'll follow this. Also came with funding, I think. But the astronaut said, yeah, that was a starting point of the solution, which is expressing our feelings, particularly teaching children, but even adults, expressing our feelings through the joy of song and dance, through song and dance, whether you're feeling joy or not joy. You can dance and express yourself physically through song about mirth or whatever. I'm not sure if mirth's just something my middle name is Mirth. You could call me Mr. Mirth. I'm not 100% sure what it means, but I know how it feels. I don't even need a definition. I would say if you're listening to a dirge, you're feeling dirge mirth. Somebody remind me. That's my new code name. Dirge mirth. Mirth dirge. I don't know. Mirth dirge isn't bad though either. So okay, DJ Dirge Mirth. There you go. Okay, so of course the president said, "What do you mean? That's the solution?" And the astronaut said, "That's all I know." Now the astronaut did not mention initially all the chaos that was going on Planet Zipper, or the fact that they were like, I would say they were really into Earth. They loved observing Earth. They were projecting their feelings onto Earth. And they kind of needed Earth. Somehow it was some sort of balance. I wouldn't say it was a good balance, a healthy balance. But somehow they were dealing with their feelings as a collective being, which is much more powerful than ours as a single being or whatever. And so but this was interesting. Eventually what they realized, they can't fill you in on everything, but they realized, oh, wait a second, it's not the stuff with half-life, it's the knowledge that these offensive half-life things exist and our feelings about that are deep inside us that are making these big ones run around. And maybe each of these big ones is a different kind of feeling. And then we discovered that we could, that there was other beings out there or that would appear. that like had more positive feelings. They'd launched this thing called the Spice Friends. So these feelings would appear, instead of like a big hairy ape or fur fish face or whatever. These beings were more giant spice beings, big cinnamon stick or the cumin cuties. So yeah, like what was my point there? I don't know. Oh, so they would at first we thought, obviously, even I was like, okay, so they'll just have dance-offs and, cinnamon stick will deal with moth breath and all will be well, or garlic stalk or whatever will deal with this person. But it didn't really work out that way. Sometimes they fused into a new being, and sometimes they it was very confusing. I guess just like feelings are. And at the same time, everybody on Earth, we want solutions now. I don't know if you could relate to that, but I can. And so they decided the president couldn't lead anymore. Then Zipper tried to run the show. And at first, humans were fine to go along with that, but it ended up, it repressed our feelings too much. So then people got some resentments at Planet Zipper because they said, I don't want to repress my feelings for another planet of beings I don't even know. So that didn't work. So then Zipper said, you know what, we're just going to put Earth in permanent hibernation, like with some breaks, because they were the last planet. And they said these big ones are still coming up. And, people are on our planet, or I don't know how they refer to them. Again, I haven't been to Planet Zipper. It's only a tertiary. Unfortunately, sorry, Planet Zipper, you're only a tertiary part of this story, if I'm using the word correctly. And so they said that's what we're going to do because that's the only way we know we can guarantee we'll have the big ones running around Earth, but then we'll put you to sleep. Then you'll wake back up. Then we'll give you some time to kind of get to know one another with hugs and kisses. So there's more people. And then we'll put you back in hibernation. Of course, Earth was like, no way. Like, while hibernation sounds great on paper, I got stuff to do. And I don't want to live my life sleeping, in hibernation, especially at the behest of outside world. I mean, I guess, yeah, if it's proposed like that, and 9 out of 10 people are going to say, no way, you're right? You say, maybe if it was someone you had a crush on or something, you say, okay, I'll think about it. But you say, wait, you're another world of a collective being I've never even met? Just human nature. So then we said, okay, we're going to have to take measures against Zipper. We tried doing like an Olympic style event versus Spice Friends versus the big ones. That didn't work. We tried like getting, different stuff. And then finally, like Zipper's like, we're just going to do this. And then Earth, we figured out a few ways that we could deal with Zipper. And we were at this big standoff where it was this is where we weren't even actually trying. Like, if you already listened to the last episode, but I'll tell you, we weren't negotiating a good faith, neither were they. We were only negotiating to get what we wanted, and they were only negotiating. So we couldn't build consensus because we were too, understandably, everybody's instinctual needs were getting in the way. And what happened was President Smith figured then Grand Iller, I think that was at the end of the episode maybe. But so there was one other, all the big ones and the Spice Friends were together. They seemed agitated, but not like chaotic. And we're out on this plane trying to figure out a solution. A lot of times the last few episodes of Sleep With Me happen on giant planes, not airplanes, but planes like the Great Salton Sea is where I'd imagine this one's happening, though I've never been there. So, I mean, just from what I've seen in movies that I barely remember. And so we were working on this solution. President Smith had a device her father left behind. She thought it was going to be a super serum, and she was going to turn into a big one. Turns out it was not a super serum. Then the Astro was like, I'll turn into a big one and go to Zipper somehow. And but it ended up the device was just a beacon, which called the Grand Iller out of things. And that's kind of where we're left off. So we've got all these big ones and Spice Friends, a giant Grand Iller, but bigger than before, covered in clouds and mist. So we don't have a good look at it, but it's giant. it's also appearing on Planet Zipper. And so we're all kind of stuck because we're like, okay, what do we do here, right? What is the way forward? And in this story, I mean, I don't know why it worked out this way, but every step forward, really, each episode has involved 10 steps back. But it's all working out tonight because, I can tell you, all will be well. Don't worry. So without further ado, our Hollywood announcer's here, Mr. To set everything up. Mr. He drove here. You know, I got to spend some time with him briefly in an imaginary place called La La Land, Los Angeles, California. We virtually hung within my mind, Mr. Antonio Banderas. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, friends beyond the binary, it's time for the Spice Friends. Get spicy. Yeah. Yes, Scooter. Scooter came to Los Angeles, and I gave him a Tyvek suit, a hairnet, booties, gloves that were silent with silent felt gloves. And I said, I left him in my driveway, and I said, could you please put these on? He refused. It's typical of Scooter. And he said, one day I'll see you again. He said he refused, but I know he was just, I said, come over for coffee, friend. And he said, well, I'm having trouble planning it out, I'm afraid. Hey, why, Antonio? And so he's a difficult man to get together with. But I had hoped I would see him in my home in a Tyvek suit. It wasn't Tyvek. I mean, I like Tyvek suits. But he is the Tyvek to my suit. So thank you for having me once again for another season of the show. Good night. Thanks, Antonio. Yeah, what happened was very generously, once again, I just, FEAR, it's my middle name. I said, I don't know, what am I going to talk to Antonio about? What if he smiles? And how am I going to look in his eyes? And what if he's what if he's really as nice as he seems? What if he sees right through me to my soul? And he says, it's too spicy. Your soul is too spicy. It was just me. I mean, those thoughts actually didn't bubble to the surface. I had to follow Spice Friends protocol and dance it out. But yeah, I was nervous. But yeah, this is Spice Friends. Welcome back, everybody. All right, Astro, this is Madam President. And yeah, we have, let's see, I guess I'll just update you on what's happened. So the Grandiller appeared, and that was what we somehow, I guess, lost track of is probably the wrong way to describe it, but we weren't as aware as we should have been that the Grandiller was appearing. And also another thing we were paying less attention to. I mean, again, we're aware of it, but we were focused on a lot of other things. Is the lesser Spice Friends that we had that had appeared that had not grown as big as some of the other ones, which is interesting. Salt and Pepper, I guess because they just hadn't had a big, I don't know. We had done a few segments about them. And other Spice Friends that were just not the mainstays of the show. They were out there. Some of them we didn't even know about, or some of them we had pitched, but they had appeared in the world, and we had stopped tracking. We had just shifted all of our focus on, gone from taking a step back to being in the middle of everything. And looking back, I don't think we could have done it any other way. But what happened was, so the Grandiller, is appearing in both worlds somehow and causing grand not goodness. We still haven't even got a good look at what's going on. And it's not not pleasant, I guess. So the Grand Iller, as we'd kind of seen other behavior, but in a different way, made the lesser spice friends used the spice friends as spice and spice on a meal that was a meal of itself, and has grown even more in power. And it's not good because there's and unfortunately, the Grand Iller seems to be like we have a little bit of time, but I feel bad for the lesser spice friends because they're kind of running around planet Earth, and apparently something else is happening on Zipper. I think it's the budding off effect of the collective being that is planet Zipper is being the individualized versions of that collective being that budded off. Which again, now Astro's saying, well, maybe that's what the spice friends and the big ones are too. But like those raw emotional beings or whatever are being chased around on Zipper. And of course that causes chaos for other things, like a lot of chaos on Earth that is unacceptable. And so it's not going good. Now we do have a plan because we're deducing on both planets that with this new theory somewhat for planet Zipper more so is that maybe the budding off Zipperians, and then here on Earth, the big ones and the spice friends, because they see what's happening, they sense what's happening. And it's like Grand Iller is all of, there's a palpable energy on here on Earth and in our communications with Zipper that it's like these like those. So if we so let's see, where was I? So that palpable energy, it's like these base level feelings, not chaos, but you know what I mean. And in the Zippers, or that the Iller is just raw. Or, well, it's not raw though. Well, it has raw energy, but it's getting more. And we're trying to find a way. Well, I'll let Astro explain because Astro's going to go through everything. Astro's in charge, like along with so many teams of Earth that we've really been working together as a planet and with Zipper. So in Zipper will look a little bit different, but we're not there. But what we're imagining is that the budded off Zipperians that are kind of individual, I haven't been there, so it's so hard for me to understand. And, Astro doesn't have a lot of visual, I don't know, but so that they'll do the helping on Zipper, but that the spice friends together, I mean, because really we're in a sink or swim situation for everybody. Spice friends, big ones, Earth and Zipper versus the Iller, Grand Iller. So our goal is to work together and to get through this. And I think we can. We're going to do some planning, and I don't want to, I'm looking forward to seeing the planning and the training, and I know all is going to be well. So I think this is the way we're working together, and we're trying to work together, and we need one another, I guess, at this point. Before that, maybe that was what was holding us back. But at this point, it's sink or swim. And so a lot of stuff has been put to the side, and a lot of creative people and a creative collective being and budded off individual beings from a collective being. Because they have one Zipper, we got one Earth at this point. So, so we'll be back, or I'll be, Astro maybe will fill in on what the training is and everything. Okay, this is Astro here, Madam President, and whoever else is listening. Wow. So we had thought, so the lesser big ones and some of the Zipperians served as a Tobias time. And we worked with the big ones and the Spice Friends here on Earth. I guess I can't communicate as clearly of what was going on in Zipper, but well, there's one change that I'll get to, but that was only after. But so we thought we could do this kind of Home Alone type situation from that famous film Home Alone. And so we had every planner on Earth and then every trainer, and we started working with the big ones and the Spice Friends through song and dance, and working with Zipper to try to train them to say, okay, when Iller comes, like, we'll use Home Alone type tactics. You'll be the weenie to invite Iller in. And we'll even use illusion so that the Iller might go to the wrong place. We'll spread you out, but then, a lot of different tactics. Brilliant, brilliant minds working on this. And different things Iller wouldn't expect, because we don't think Iller's like some sort of all-knowing being, though Iller has quite proven that is quite capable in many, many different situations. And so we did a lot of prep, besides the big ones and the Spice Friends, but they just don't seem to be engaged. They've rejected, I guess to put it simply, they seem to have rejected all of our planning. And, now we're working with communications experts, everybody that's observed them, everybody on the planet that has an idea. And the one idea that came out of it, which was with Zipper, was, that I mentioned, is trying something new, again, to get more time and more time for Planet Zipper. And so this is interesting because we had that clouded delusion idea, right? And, that we were going to use to deal with Zipper. And somewhere between, we didn't even realize this, but we said, what about these, like Zipper brought it up. They said, what if we project our feelings and even send some of the budding off ones to the individual, like to one of our former planets, which is actually between Zipper and Earth, which is actually along the line of their device that we're going to use to create this delusion belt, or interference belt between Zipper and us. And they said, what if we, what just happens if we send Zipparians there, or former Zipparians, I don't know, like individual ones there, and project the entire feelings of their planet there, because that's going to be more powerful. And it seems to have confused Iller, and they said that Iller on planet Zipper is also trying to figure out, like, how to get there. And I guess however space stuff works for them is different. They're different beings with different technology, again, that we don't understand. Even this system they put in place, built out, it's not just as simple as some sort of beacon amplifier. So they're working on that. And what's happened for us is that what we've learned is we made a big mistake. We've been focused on getting the big ones and Spice Friends to do what we want, like solve the problem. So we went through this whole thing, and the president, Madam President, was just brilliant with all of this. She won't take credit, probably. But what happened was that what we found is that through a bunch of experiments and trying things and communicating and talking and observing and just spending time close to all the big ones and Spice Friends, it finally dawned on us. That one, all along during this, since I've returned and since we've been actively dealing with the big ones and the Spice Friends, every single time things have worked out, even when we didn't think they were going to work out. And the thing that took us the furthest from the solution or getting to what we needed, that it was one process base. We keep going over that again and again and again, making the same mistake, that we always ended up where we needed to be. And that we spend way too much time trying to fix stuff and force solutions and find a permanent fix and control, control, control. And a lot of that is just the way we're used to doing stuff, right? And even the president, as brilliant as she is, we realized we had to zoom back, especially once the Zipper came up with their idea of projecting onto this other planet. Like it was like their activity of like zooming out. And then I don't know if the president will share about this, but I will give her space. There was one other thing that happened that caused a zoom out. But the idea of training the big ones and using, human ingenuity combined with the power of the big ones and the Spice Friends to stop Zipper or, so then we thought, okay, we'll do it with human ingenuity and Zipperian ingenuity. And we haven't figured out a way again, but it's like, okay, well, the Spice Friends and the big ones aren't going to do anything, maybe. But maybe we could still find a way to get, because the Zipper really thinks that that their version of Iller is being enticed to go to this other planet, maybe fully. But that Earth, we're just different. We got gravity and stuff like that. And so if they really do get their part of Iller onto this other planet, what if then we use the cloud of delusion once we get our Iller, if we can get our Iller onto the planet? We don't know how, that's the part we don't know how we're going to do. But it's a process. We say, wait a second, that might just work. And if it doesn't work, if they can get their Iller on there, maybe it'll just work for them. I don't know. And then maybe it'll affect here. And Zipper, I guess, is willing to accept that then they'll be cut off more or less from Earth forever. But that, their planet will move on from Earth and move on without having to deal with the big ones anymore, maybe. We don't quite see how it's going to work out, but we trust we're heading that way. So I'm going to turn it over to Madam President. Thanks, Astro. And I guess I just listened to your thing and I'm just going to record. It hasn't been much time. But yeah, what happened was, as Iller got closer to where we are, and a few things have happened that Astro didn't make clear. One, it became clear that whatever had happened as my father had become a big one, that Iller was taking on, took on characteristics of my father. And at first, initially, it was very difficult for me, physical characteristics. But I guess I'd gotten some of the tools over this process that I felt those feelings. Is this my father? Is this partially my father? Is my father and part of Iller? And I grounded myself and felt my feelings and expressed my feelings. And I realized, also I got a clear confirmation, but I was already there that, no, this is something else entirely. And if it is my father, something will become clear, but we still have to deal with this. And then it ended up that was like that was just a shell, because some of our ingenuity actually did work in this shell that was around Iller that was causing the clouds and the mist. And they kind of had my father's charisma broke apart. And now is Iller again. It was like like some sort of hard shell you'd see on you'd find in a summer field, that being left behind as it moved on or molted. And so my father isn't there. And I said, okay, so that was just something else. And I think that was part of it for me and for us and Zipper, and the same thing was taking a step back. And then we realized that the big ones in the Spice Friends didn't one, they don't want to go toe to toe with Iller, but not out of FEAR. uh, but other reasons, and that they want our help. Like they don't want us to fix things or to control them or to set up the solution. And it's actually, once we realized it and let go, everything just became clear. Like all of our communication blocks with the big ones and the Spice Friends, they started dancing and expressing themselves. And they probably already were, but we were unaware of it, or they were trying. But it's like when you're trying to talk to someone that's not listening, how does that influence your communication, right? That it just, you're not communicating clearly. It's not working. And we were kind of operating from what we needed them to do for us, right? Instead of what we could do for them. And what happened was, and it really was, I dare say, a miracle. As soon as, again, we started letting go and surrendering again to the process, we realized that that we didn't have to, we just had to listen and then figure out from there how we could help. And it was, again, it's hard for me to, I guess I'm very happy, even though we're not there yet. They want a home of their own, and they want Iller to be like, they don't see the Grand Iller as something, again, just like the other thing. There's a difference between the big ones and the Spice Friends and the Grand Iller in their appearance and their behavior, and maybe what feelings or whatever, what they are, how they're expressive. I don't know. There's things beyond our understanding about them. But to put it simply, in risking being inaccurate, what if Iller is all these base feelings, and then the Spice Friends are warmth and joy, and some of the big ones are frowny face or like other things, like different feelings. And Iller was the first now we think Iller was the first big one because it came from those strong feelings. And even Iller's behavior now reflects playing those feelings out. And that was also happening on another planet, to say, well, if you're going to break all your toys, I'll just break them for you. Like, once you know you're capable of doing it, something like that. I don't know. This is, again, simplifying things just to explain them. So we almost have everything. We're just dancing and figuring out a few more things. And I guess I'll be back because I think we're going to get there. I mean, yeah, and I'm sure, Astro, you'll know more soon. All right, Madam President. Yeah, it's me. I'm back. I'm excited. And yeah, we're implementing things, and the big ones understand. Again, I guess I'm not 100%, but I am like 70% that this is going to work out, or maybe 60% if I'm honest with myself, or 50, because it is. So it worked on Zipper. That now Zipper is back to being a single collective being, and all the individual versions of Zipperians that had decided to bud off are on this new planet, and their version, 100% they suspect, is on this planet. We're calling it Big Spice, the planet, but that's what we've been calling it. So they're all on Big Spice, and Zipper has already started manufacturing this cloud of delusion, and separating itself. And then eventually when we get our part, so they'll be safe no matter what. They'll be separated now from that planet, but that the cloud of delusion will eventually envelop Big Spice, and then eventually separate Earth from Big Spice, like a big asteroid belt or a big block. and we could go around it, or they can't go. I guess they need line of sight to keep an eye on us, but I don't know. I don't know. Some of this technology stuff is beyond me. But there's still like one piece missing, because even Iller has calmed down, because the big ones have dealt with, like, danced for, like, once Iller got close, and the big ones and the Spice Friends have been continuing to dance. There's just one piece we're not understanding. But, like, I think we're going to understand it soon, because the Longfeather left the planet. And then they've been testing, like, some of the other flying, like, the combination moth breath, and has been trying to lift Iller. And there's some other, like, there's other stuff happening. So it's like that they want to go, but there's still something missing. They're waiting, and we can't quite get our fingers on it. It's like they're pleading for us to understand them. And the president has said, okay, we have to put ourselves in their shoes, even though we're different and we don't even totally understand them. Like, don't try to fix. Don't try to solve, just try and understand. And we came up with this idea. It was actually partially my idea of, like, dancing from that perspective, and singing and doing art from that perspective of we're totally out of control. Things are out of our control, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. And it seems like, and then we saw from the big ones, once we started doing that, they would do something like that, and then they would pause, and then we would pause, and that seemed to be soothing Iller, like these expressions, and then pauses, and then pausing. And so, well, I'm talking about it now. I'm a more confident, Madam President, that we'll find this final piece of what we're going to do. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I just, yeah. Well, Astro, well, I guess, yeah, to go back to Iller, my father, and Iller kind of being this, the foggy feelings, things we try to forget, things we try to fix with SHAME, things we push away, or say repulse or unacceptable, like that we deny a home to, was where things really shifted, where we really understood, like, all of them need a home. We cannot deny a home to them. But we still only understood one part of it, right? Oh, put them all on another planet. But it was like, also then it was like, it led us to kind of our refusal to there was just something missing in there. And it was like, oh, wait a second, like that, like when we do that, not with ourselves, it kind of creates this cycle where everything's feeding on itself, right? When you get caught in that, it keeps sustaining. It's like chasing its own tail. Maybe it was something about Longfeather returning, and it was clear from observations that Longfeather had gone to the planet and deemed it acceptable, except for one thing that was missing, and that was that. It was like, so we got it to process. We knew they needed a home where a home for everyone. We can't deny anyone a home for their feelings. And that's when we realized, wait a second, okay, we're looking at all this. Now, we don't know anything about Zipper. Is Zipper a part of us or not? But the big ones, the Spice Friends and Iller, are. Maybe the theory is now that they're part of us and they're part of Zipper, and that our energies combined to create them, budded off, powerful collective energy, and then our feelings that we haven't fully expressed. Somehow Those two, again, just this is theory. We don't know. But so the way things look now is much, much different. So the big ones have a home, Big Spice. Their home will soon be surrounded in a cloud of delusion that separates us from them and separates us from Zipper, but mostly separates us from traveling or Zipper, to keep Zipper Temptations from coming back to Earth. So the planet is in between us and the cloud of delusion is in between us. And the beings, the residents of Big Spice now will live there. But the missing piece was the emotional energy from both our worlds, right? And that is where we came up with this idea. Of course, a child came up with the idea. It was so simple and absolutely correct. When we were talking and making it clear that that they were going to go live off world, but we couldn't figure out why they weren't ready. Or again, we fell into the fixing thing, what we could do to make them go. It was a child that said, pen pals, but it said it in a way, well, am I going to be able to send a letter to Cinnamon Spice because I love Cinnamon Spice? And then another child said, well, I want to send a letter to Longfeather because I'm going to miss petting Longfeather's tail, but then I haven't even got a chance to pet Longfeather. And that's where it came together that both our worlds could express our feelings in letters or, whatever that means. But it had to be a letter with emotional substance to it. And the rules, we've kind of come up with on Earth are that, and again, this is going to be an informed practice, but they could be about anything you're feeling or thinking, and you can send it to any one of the Spice Friends or the big ones, the residents of Big Spice, even Grand Iller needs a home and can be fed by our feelings, by expressing our feelings or our thoughts, So it's really that simple. And the device that Zipper had is actually the final piece because we can run things straight into the cloud of delusion via that device and leave them there, not that far from the planet where Longfeather or some of the other beings can go get them. And we tried this out to see if Longfeather left and then came back, and then they, with one of the snacks, so they all snacked on some of the letters. Then Zipper tried it. And so we send these letters now along this thing in drone ships that Zipper has taught us how to make. And it's not that complicated at all. And, some of it is, it's their food, really, or whatever sustains them or partially sustains them. But it's and it's like they're there on their planet, and we've seen them dancing. Once we figured all this out, they were expressing themselves with joy and dance, that we were helping them, and they were going to be. It's not like our feelings help them. It sustains them. Like our expressing our feelings and letting them go is now essential to everything, right? Because this is a process. It isn't, and I mean, that's what's just amazing is by letting, feeling our feelings. And that's not just, it's not that simple. I realize it, but, this is part of a process here on Earth and on Zipper now, that taking our strong feelings and moving them or letting them move through us and then taking some time, because not only do people send letters, they send art, they send messages, they send everything they've created because they're having feelings about being a human or a Zipperian. And I can tell you what, every day here on Earth, life has gotten a little bit better through this process. Every day has had, every day I have my feelings. I'm not president anymore. I'm trying to be a partner in a partnership now and start a new life away from the limelight. But each day I get to take part in something. I get to take action that nourishes someone else and that's outside of me, and that takes my feelings outside of me. And it's pretty good. And now I know most of the time when I'm doing this that all will be well. So from your president and Astro, good night. All right, I want to thank everybody that's signed up for our email to support the Midnight Mission. If you're hearing this, it'd be huge if you want to sign up. It's at sleepwithmepodcast.com/rebel news. Or if you sign up using other URLs, it's the same newsletter. It's just I'm trying to figure out which way is going to get like that people are going to respond to. But I'd really appreciate it. It's not really about the podcast, but it is if you ever want more Scoots or more Drew. I don't really stop putting myself out there like with live videos and stuff, except on Patreon. So if you want more of that, like that interactive feel, you'll get it on the newsletter, and we'll be doing things to help people who are experiencing homelessness. And you can sign up for that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/rebel news. I really appreciate that. And I want to thank the people who signed up recently. Sleep With Me exists as a free podcast because the people that usually say this at the end, support the show on Patreon or support our sponsors. And the longevity of the next few years of the podcast will be the people that are supporting the podcast, to supporting other people through the newsletter as well. I want to thank everybody that signed up recently. Right now we have 150 people signed up. It'd be great if our goal is 6,000 to 10,000. So if you're hearing this, make a big difference. I want to thank Cadonia, Amy and Diane. Thanks, and good night. Chastity, Kathy and Mary. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Lisa, Deb and Jean. Thanks, and good night. Carl, Betsy and Jan. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Scarlett, Gabrielle, and Ophelia. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Jennifer, Amanda, and Amy. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Lily, Lori, and Zoo. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Jill, Julia, and Nadia. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Sarah, John, and James. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Claire, Amanda, and Abe. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Heidi, Connor, and Margaret. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Kay, Jack, and Julie. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Kimberly, Patricia, and Ellen. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Carolyn, Kirsten, and Amy. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Allison, Betsy, and Michael. Thanks, and good night. And Ginger and Victoria. Thanks, and good night. And you might even hear your own name on the show if you sign up for the mailing list at sleepwithmepodcast.com/rebel news. And I also want to thank our sponsors and the people that support the sponsors, because that's what enables us. I think the last thing I looked at was 465 free episodes in the feed. Thanks to the listeners who supported us, sponsors like this one. Thanks.